Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the vlog. My name is Darren, I'm a landscape photographer and I'm based here in beautiful Ireland. Now, today I want to talk about one of the most highly searched skills in landscape photography, and that is composition. So, whether you're just starting out or you've been shooting for years, understanding composition is key to taking your images from this level to the next level. And I want to share some of my essential techniques that you can use to improve your composition and make your photos stand out. Let's go. First up, let's talk about the rule of thirds. So this is a fundamental technique that helps you position key elements of your image in a more dynamic way. So by dividing your frame into a 3x3 grid and then placing subjects along those lines or at their intersections, you can create a balanced yet interesting composition. Now you can do quite a lot with this technique. So for example, placing the horizon at the bottom third of your frame instead of the middle creates a more balanced image and adds emphasis to either the sky or the foreground. If you position different elements in the scene on the intersecting lines, then you'll end up with an image that has a better visual flow. Now, many say you should never put your subject directly in the center of your frame, but I like to think that the rule of thirds isn't one that you need to be stuck to. It depends on the scene you're shooting and the different elements and how they'll fit into the frame. Now, I have on many occasions had the sky in the very top of my frame, and the rest was the foreground and the midground. The important thing here is do what works best for the scene overall. And important also to remember, as my good buddy Maz Peter Iverson has once said, it's not the rule of thirds, it's the tool of thirds, and you can use it when you feel you need to. Next, we have leading lines. Now, these can be either natural or man-made lines within your scene that guide the viewer's eye towards the main subject. Now, if I'm honest, I'm not a huge fan of man-made leading lines. However, there have been occasions when the only option available were those man-made ones. So you can utilize the likes of, say, roads, and they can work well within your image. Rivers also work well, or even shadows can serve as leading lines as they help create depth and movement in your images. A winding road leading towards a distant scene is something that is perfect for using leading lines to pull the viewer's eye into the frame, or a fallen tree in a forest can act in exactly the same way. Symmetry can be striking when used correctly. Now, whether it's reflections on still water or a subject framed perfectly in the center, remember that rule of thirds? Symmetrical compositions create a sense of harmony. But don't forget, balance doesn't always mean symmetry. You can achieve balance by contrasting different elements in the scene. So if you have something large in the bottom left, then it's good to have a counterweight on the right so that the images aren't all one-sided. To add depth to your landscape photos, think in terms of foreground, middle ground, and background. Incorporating these elements in each of these areas helps you to create a sense of scale and makes the image more immersive. Now, important, and I like to do something, it's just thinking in threes. So this really helps here. So placing rocks or flowers in the foreground, a body of water in the middle ground, or a mountain and a hill in the background creates a dynamic and engaging image overall. Now, it's important, look for the background element that you cannot change first. Then look for a midground that will link that to your foreground. If you have a mountain in the background with jagged edges, then looking for rocks in the foreground or midground that mimic this will help create more of that balanced image. Framing is another technique that you can use to draw the attention to your subject. So using natural elements like trees or rocks to create a frame around your subject adds depth and also context to the overall scene. This technique not only highlights the main focus of your image, but also creates a more immersive experience for the viewer. So if you're by a lake and you have trees all around on the bank, then use these as a natural frame, as they will help bring the eye into the shot. Plus, sometimes these leaves can be better than just a boring plain sky. Negative space or empty areas in your photo can be just as powerful as the subject itself. By leaving areas of your image unoccupied, you create breathing room and can make your subject stand out even more. Now, this is very true for minimalist photography, where you only have a solitary subject in the frame. But even if you don't, it's important that you leave enough room around the subject so it doesn't look and feel cramped into the final image. An expansive sky or a vast open field can really give your image that sense of scale and isolation, which also can add an emotional impact. This helps if you have a sky with colour or texture too, as it can also become the star of the show, and the rest of the elements are there supporting actors. Now that we've all the boring stuff out of the way, how do we bring it all together? I have a method which I use and I teach in my workshops, which I feel is very easy to remember. First of all, think in threes. So that being background, midground, foreground. And find items that will work well together. Identify which of them is going to be your star of the show. Then look for the supporting actors that will help that star shine. And then finally, look for a third element. Now that third element could be light, it could be waves, it could be color, it could be clouds, or it could even be birds. And place them within the scene that helps the whole thing to make sense. Now once you have all three, you are well on your way to hitting that proverbial nail on the head. Now you've got your composition in. Once you've got that in place, it's important that you nail it down. So it's now time to make some micro adjustments. And you do this by moving your camera up, down, left, right, back, forward, all by around maybe 6 inches, and then see how it changes the image. You look for parts of the image that will overlap when you do this, or even separate. Now I find this approach works very well for ensuring that I've all the elements standing alone and they're not interfering with each other. It's best to do this while out in the field, as you cannot change your composition once you're back at home. And finally, it's now time to do some edge patrol. So, are there elements that are being cut off, or are there elements that need room to breathe a bit more? Simply moving that small amount can make all the difference to your shots. Composition is all about making conscious choices to guide the viewer's eye and create more engaging photos. So whether you're using the rule of thirds or the tool of thirds, whether you're using leading lines, negative space, understanding all of these techniques will help you to elevate your landscape photography shots. Composition still remains one of the hardest skills to master, but over time you will be able to approach it in a different way and get better every single time. You'll also be able to approach a scene for the first time and know exactly what you're looking for to create that image, and an image that you can be proud of. Thank you very much for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and also if you made it this far, please hit the subscribe button for more photography tips and tutorials. And let me know in the comments what your favorite compositional technique is and how you use it in your own photos. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks again for watching. Slán go fóill.